camera?
I think so, Tom. Uh, let's see. Welcome to Write. Today I'm going to be interviewing author Tom Frye, and I'm going to ask him. We're going to further get into his book, Here There Be Dragons. Are you ready to go, Tom?
I am. I'm ready to roll.
All right. Now, the book is about Alex, but I'll ask some background questions. Why was Nate Holland less than pleased when presented with the baseball bat? Explain, if you will, the dynamics of the situation.
Well, Nate Holland is the badass in the book. He is Lucas's uncle. He's a bald-headed biker with a big dragon tattoo on his head, and he nothing about him is good. He puts the dogs in dog fights. He deals drugs. He's a
Wow.
yeah, he's a first-class badass. He and Billy Connors go way back because Billy is a mediator between all the clubs here in Lincoln. He's a peacekeeper amongst the biker clubs, and Nate has a problem with him right away because he involves himself in the dog fights and prevents them from happening. And he's a no drug. Billy Connors is no drugs in Havelock. He's put a
Right.
stop to that, and he pays actually the outlaw biker club to enforce that rule. And so Nate has a problem right away with the
Wait, he
fact
pays
that,
them?
yep, he
Okay.
pays them to be bouncers and to
Okay.
yeah, enforce the law as far as drugs go in Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, but Nate is mad because Lucas has tried to break that window with the bat, and he knows his nephew's guilty, and that bat just proves that Lucas was there to cause problems. And when reason brings it out and puts it on the table, Nate is kind of shocked because he has nowhere to go after that. They're at church. Biker clubs have a thing called church. It's their meeting halls. Um,
It's
and
called church, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
church. Yep.
Okay.
And so to be involved in their church is pretty. It's a royal calling, and Beef and Reason have been invited to that by Gypsy to set in and to present their case about Lucas being in the Emerald. They're trying to find out where Billy Connors is because he's disappeared, and they suspect the Elder's
Oh,
Den has done something with him.
ah, I
And
see.
so, yeah, and so they're invited to church by Gypsy, so they're sanctioned by him to be there. But Nate's just totally against them. He's he like I said, he's bad. Later in the book, I don't know. He may redeem himself. I don't know. We'll have to see.
All right. What did Boone do with Hunter Sin, and why did he do it?
Well, Boone is a youth worker and a private eye, just like Reason, like his brother. They're both private detectives. They're working under Billy Connors, and and Boone, instead of letting the kid go because he pulled a knife on Alex and Celeste, he puts him in the storeroom and keeps him locked in there, hoping that Officer Beef Torrey, will come and arrest him and take him to the detention center where he needs to be locked up.
Right.
And of course Hunter escapes and doesn't stay put like Boone expected him to do. So yeah, that's his role right there.
All right. What was the purpose of the jewel encrusted longsword?
Well, I had to have some type of tool, instrument to use for the virtual reality, and so I just decided to use a longsword, and it's just for make believe. It's for just like the torque that Alex wears around his neck. It's all part of the gameplay, and it's the the virtual reality where you're swinging swords and you're fighting and stuff, and things actually get stabbed and actually shattered. The funny thing is, they wanted to include they didn't want to include blood and guts
Right.
because most video games are blood and guts. Um, my video game was rejected after Electronic Arts offered me $85,000, 5% on the back in four different formats. Went
Oh,
through
wow.
four different gatekeepers, it was shot down because it didn't have enough hack and slay in the game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so
All right.
this game is the reason is based on they were jokingly saying that the characters when they get killed they ought to just sparkle and go out. And somebody said, well, why not just use exploding Skittles? And and they're like, oh no, Skittles are already copyrighted.
Yeah, but what did Reason have to say about a Celeste point that swords lead to violence?
Well, yeah, Reason though talks about Cain and Abel. Cain didn't kill Abel with a feather, and he didn't
Right.
kill him with words.
Right.
And all battles have blood and guts in them.
Right.
Biblical battles and historical battles. And so Reason brings that up and says, swords are mightier than the pen when it comes to fighting like that. And so he resorted to using a sword in the game as a weapon, to kill, to destroy, to slay, to conquer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who is Colin Young and what did he do? Because I'm curious, right?
Yeah, Colin Young came into the book in Scratching on the Eight Ball in 1982 when I wrote that. He was a good kid. He hadn't done drugs and he hadn't been in trouble. He'd never been on probation, and he was Reason's voice of reason. And he came along and kind of a nerdy kid, long blonde hair, kind of a scrawny little kid. But his personality shines like the sun, and everybody in Havelock knows him, and they love him. He's just a great kid, and he designed the game. He became a game designer as he grew up, and he moved to California. They call him the White Wizard, and it's just a small part of the book. I don't have a big part on that right yet. I may later develop that.
He sounds like a good character to develop in the future.
Yeah, well, Colin and his brother Logan come into the book in the very beginning when Logan starts having delinquent problems and truancy problems, and his parents hire Boone to try to straighten Logan out. Logan gets involved in the drug trade. He becomes Nate Holland's courier to sell drugs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Colin is torn by it because Logan finally runs away, and Colin goes to the railroad tracks every night thinking he's going to come back because in Havelock there's a train depot, and trains come through there 4 or 5 times a night. And so Colin's kind of a sad character, but he's also he's a good character. He's a dynamo as far as being creative and
right,
creating this game.
All right, this is a story about young Alex, isn't it, though? But tell us what made Reason the perfect counselor to Alex.
Well,
because I'm curious about that.
Reason has been where Alex is at now, and he has his own defiance disorder he dealt with, his own ADHD he dealt with, his own drug addiction.
By the way, does defiance disorder or ADHD ever go away?
Oh no. Adults even use meds for it now. Many of them, don't. Many of them don't use that to combat it, and but there's many adults now that even take Adderall and
Ritalin.
Ritalin. There we go. Yeah. But some of that has adverse effects because on some people it's got a paradoxical effect. It doesn't work the way it does on kids, and it doesn't calm them down. It speeds them up.
Really?
Yeah, they were selling Ritalin for $15 a pill here a while back because it hyped everything up, and people are abusing it, of course. But no, that disorder doesn't go away. But I have it. I have ADHD, but I hyper focus, and that's why I write books. And
really?
So I find a blessing in it because once I get hooked on something that I'm just involved in and interested in, I stick with it.
All right. But Reason was a perfect counselor then for Alex because he'd been where Alex is right now.
Right. And Alex
coped with his ADHD and his defiance disorder.
Yeah. And Alex is not a really bad kid, not like Lucas. Lucas is a bad seed. Lucas has a lot,
Problems?
yeah, a lot of problems and a lot of issues. And Alex is more of a throwaway kid. His mom doesn't want him, his dad doesn't want him, and he's fallen into Reason's hands, and Reason has taken him under his wing and sees potential in him. And so, yeah.
All right. Now, how did how on earth did the virtual reality game that this book is built around, right?
Right.
So completely immerse Alex in the virtual world.
Well,
I'm curious.
the virtual reality is just my excuse to get him over to the alternative realm. so,
Okay.
so it doesn't take off. It doesn't. The game doesn't fly like Reason expects it to, because it becomes involved in a real world out there that's in another realm, and that's where
Okay.
Alex, Lucas, Celeste are pulled into. And later in the story, Reason will end up there, but right now he's just a go-between. He's a mediator, and
Right.
so yeah, he uses the game in a way to
Wait,
get
who was
kids.
the mediator?
Reason
Reason.
Nelson.
Okay. Reason was.
Yeah,
And he uses game for what ends?
he uses that for to try to prevent delinquency and try to um, instill self-esteem in kids that play the game. That's what his whole goal was when he started it, and it does help Alex in that sense. But then the game,
Becomes real.
yeah, they leave the game parameters long after they go into Valisar. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Now, when Alex first came into the virtual world, what was after him?
Um, he was being chased by a bunch of they were wolf-like demon beings, and he was being chased by them, and he was saved by Tanner Silvertree, who is one of the Chaikin, the Jewel folk.
Okay.
Uh, they're part dwarven, they're part elven, and they
How
are
big are they? How big are they?
about 3 feet tall,
Right.
um, hobbit-sized, but a little bit more wild. They got hoops in their ears, they got tattoos, they got long hair. They're kind of
Right.
gypsy kind of creatures, but very elven. Um, and Tanner is a legend weaver. He's able to weave legends with his words and stories with his images that he puts out. And he's also a demon slayer and a huntsman. They call him the huntsman because he has had a reputation of hunting down demons. And so he comes and he saves Alex.
Wow. How big are the demon wolves? The
They're,
sleeths, I think they're
yeah,
called.
the sleeth. There you go. They're the same size as wolves, only they're bulkier, bigger shoulders, and
Now, this guy is 3 feet tall and he takes
yeah,
on all these wolves.
with two glowing swords with two jewel blades that he wields. Yes.
Right. Right. How many wolves were there?
Oh, probably about a dozen. Um, and
That's quite a
he's
feat to take on a dozen wolves, huh?
yeah, but he's an expert. He's a swordsman. That's what his talent is. He's got a gift, a magical gift.
Okay. Who stepped through the portal and what is his role in the story?
He's a major bad one. He's Kane Sin. He was the warlord of the Elven Kingdom of Mint until he had a falling out with the king over his son, who was endowed with magic. And the Elven King had outlawed magic, and he ended up burning his son at the stake.
What?
And, yeah, and Kane Sin turned on the elves after that. He's a warlock now, and
Wait,
he's
he
doing
burned
great.
his son at the stake? His own
Yeah,
son?
yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
that
good.
they're the White Wardens that come into the game later. They do the same thing. They're very Puritan like, and they
Now, the
are
White Wardens, are they magical beings too?
no. They're totally against magic.
Okay.
They wear white armor and white cloaks, and they are very pure, is what they think they as themselves. And they enforce the law against magic. There's a ban on magic that happens later in the book due to something that happens to Briar and Alicia, and
Right.
and the band comes along, and Kane Sin is a warlock who's thwarted against anything that has to do with the light.
Was he magical?
Oh yeah, and he aligns
He
himself.
was against magic, but he was magical.
No, he's not against magic. He's for it. His
Oh,
son,
okay.
his son was the magic user, and he was killed because of it.
Ah,
His younger son is Hunter Sin, who came into this world to try to kill Alex because Alex is going back to that world to bring the wizard warriors back to life.
okay, okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. Now, who on earth was Sheena the Fife, and what is his role in the story?
Well, I wrote another story long before this, and it was the Kingdom of Briston, and the Fife was an area in there that was kind of
Right?
a Highlands type place, um, and Sheen just came out of nowhere. He came out of I don't know. He come flying out of the darkness and attacked Tanner. He's a swordsman, elven swordsman, and later in the book, he might have a redeeming quality. He may,
Right.
his heart may turn.
But right now he's a bad guy, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, he's bad. Yeah,
Very bad.
he follows Kane. He's Kane's right hand man, and he summons demons and fights against anybody that's
Really?
yeah, anybody that serves the light. He fights against them.
He summons demons. All
Yeah,
right.
he's
Now, explain the fight scene between Tanner and Sheena the Fife. What happens in that fight scene?
well, a lot of sword play, a lot of slashing and hacking, and um, the the thing is, they're both almost evenly matched, and in the end, it's Tanner who wins, and he
Does he kill
no,
Sheena the Fife?
no, he doesn't kill him, and Sheen disappears and fades away because the
Through a
battle.
portal, right? Through a
Yeah,
portal?
he knocked his sword out of his hand. His sword's sitting there in the ground, quavering, and he backs away, and he's gone. He goes into the portal and he leaves because he can't. And later in the book, Alex and Sheen have a exchange when Alex's gift comes to life.
What is Alex's gift?
Oh, that's sword fighting. He's a good sword fighter. He's got the skills of the swords, and he's got magic. He uses defense magic, offense magic. Um, but that doesn't happen until later in the game. He or the book. He develops that, and the sword comes to life when he's in battle. I mean, he's in the middle of this battle, and suddenly he's got skills he's never heard of. And he took
Right?
fencing back when he was a kid back in the earth here, but nothing like what he's doing now.
All right. Now, next interview, we'll get into the broader picture of how you conclude Here There Be Dragons. We get into some broad concepts and do it that way, right? Because we don't
Yeah.
want to give away too many details, but we've done enough so far that in the end, how many books do you have in the Havelock Emerald series?
I have 5 right now.
5 right now, right?
Yep.
How many
And
do you anticipate writing?
at least 4 more.
4 more? Okay, 9.
Yeah, to finish it, it's going to take that.
Okay, okay. Well, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah, because the story develops. I mean, it's like a slow moving wave, only it moves.
What is the first book in the Havelock Emerald series?
It's Havelock, the Great American Novel. It starts everything. It's where
Starts
Reason,
everything, right?
Billy, and Rose, and everybody, Colin
The
Young.
second book,
That's the first book, and the second
right?
book is Wounded Arrow, and that's
There.
Lucas' story. Lucas
Okay.
and
The
and
third book is Here There Be Dragons, right?
no, the third book is the Saracen.
Saracen, right? Okay.
Yeah,
The fourth book is Here There Be Dragons,
the
right?
dragons.
What
Yeah,
is the name of the fifth book?
Thorns of the Black Rose.
Thorns of the Black Rose. We'll have to discuss that next time, right?
Yeah, yeah. It all takes place in the realm and has to do with Alicia and Briar and Brennan
Because I
Ravenheart.
think this series is exciting enough that deserves a full treatment from
Yeah,
beginning to end.
right.
All right.
Yeah.
So until next time, how do the people get a hold of your website?
Um, Tom, TomFrye.org is my site.
Right? Is there any other way they can get a hold of you?
Um, I'm on audible.com. I have 12 books recorded on there as
Right?
audio books.
Great, great. All
And
right.
I've got several books as Nook and Kindle reader books.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Good. That's really good, Tom. All right. Until next time, I'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
All right. Bye bye.
All right.